Yo guys, this is Reinhardt, your favorite Russian talking, and this is going to be a quick, short and sweet video. And this is going to be about why Unholy Decay is just going to be a death of melee Cleaves, in my opinion. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is different specs that Unholy can run to just mangle the shit out of melee Cleaves. Biggest problems with Shadow Cleave or anything is because Unholy usually doesn't do a lot of it does a good amount of spread damage, but it really cannot punish a lot of melee Cleaves for overextending because we have a lot of sustained damage. So let's say Shadow Cleave, historically been known to be relatively a weak comp against anything that just can mongoloid either the healer or the lock, essentially. So in that case, what Unholy feels to me is more like a melee glass cannon, where Unholy Decay is relatively weak against the melee Cleaves, because he doesn't have a lot of physical survivability, but at the same time he will do tons of melee damage. So let's go over the specs a little bit, and what I'm seeing here is that if we go through the talents, we have a little Stinker or Shadow Infusion. Both are just absolutely amazing against the melees. Shadow Infusion, where you enrage a ghoul and ghoul just trucks people. He trucks really bad, and little Stinker does just so much damage. That's a two different ones that actually start doing a lot of AoE. To top it off, Death and Decay and the Scourge Strike is also going to do a lot of damage. While you guys are actually cleaving the shit out of the melee Cleaves, the cool thing to note here is is one talent somewhere over here. Give me a second. I am looking for that talent. Okay, that Skull applies a debuff that increases Scourge Strike damage by 50%. So the Scourge Strike damage hits about 20k. It's 23k on average back in actual life. It will do about 20k on average, but it can be extended by 50% of the damage. So it will hit maybe 30k. If you Deathskull Arena Player 1 and 2, or Deathskull 2 melee, and then you drop Death and Decay and start Scourge Striking, you'll cleave the shit out of him. Plus, Scourge Strike will have about roughly 30 to 40% chance to refund the rune, which is also further is going to increase our cleave damage capability. To top it off, our dot, basically the way it works is that the dot will be not the greatest. It will probably do similar damage to Blood Plague and Frost Fever combined, but it fully benefits from the mastery, which also needs to be noted. But the biggest thing about this is that it has this thing where 30% chance it explodes and damages nearby enemies. So basically, and it spreads itself out. So you can actually legitimately here spread the Virulent Plague, and it starts feedbacking damage. Remember the PP talents that I talked about? The Decomposing Aura that reduces the max health levels or increases the cooldowns by 30%? Melee Cleaves are gonna suffer from that as well. But to top it off, the biggest thing is also one pet, and this one right here, Tortured Spirit. Oh boy, it cleaves the shit out of people. It hits for up to 60k right now on rogues, crits. Like, I was actually baffled to see how much my Tortured Spirit can do damage. And it is a slow moving, it is easily be kiteable, but it also does a lot of damage. So let's look at the cleave damage capability. So first of all, we're gonna put my pet on the target. So we have this little thing, and these numbers obviously are skewed completely. So you have this gas cloud that does just so much damage, right? And on average it will hit for roughly around like maybe 3k damage, but it's every second, which is noted is pretty good. But then we also inflict both of those with a Virulent Plague. The Army of the Dead comes out and start damaging the target as well. To top it off, the Army of the Dead will also explode when they die, damaging nearby enemies. Also, your attacks have a chance to summon a super zombie that shambles forwards and explodes. We have two pet explosions here. We have a little Stinker gas cloud out here. We have that does damage. We have Death and Decay and Scourge Strike Cleave. On top of it, we can enrage the pet, and then the gas cloud will do 3 times more damage. And on top of it, we summon the ghost here, and the ghost will cleave the shit out of people. So you see how much actual high damage potential can Unholy have against the melee Cleaves. Unholy became one of those specs that just rots people to death. And while I am figuring out the perfect optimal rotation and the Pressure Master as well, of Unholy, this is noted something that it was just a pleasant surprise for me as well. With Little Sinker, that transformation does have a cooldown, but when it is up, it will just cleave the crap out of people. So the biggest thing is just pop Dust and Decay. You're probably gonna have to coil 2 different targets at the same time, and then you're gonna just Scourge Strike, Scourge Strike, Scourge Strike, Scourge Strike. Basically, Unholy became that kind of a spec that doesn't do a lot of spread damage, like in terms of area of effect wise, because the range of Unholy abilities became more limited. But while they are limited, those abilities just gonna do so much freaking damage, my friends. It's awesome. So that's basically a quick and short video about that. I am only gonna make Unholy Decay video when it comes to like a pressure mass and everything else for PvP, once we get the PvP talents and once we start actually getting artifact talents as well, because there's still a lot of numbers are missing. And I already made a video talking about Unholy Decay in-depth analysis previously. So with that said, this is it, my friends. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, because the cleavage is real.